with Sarah and Manny. As everybody can see, that is not Manny. That's Louis Bello filling in for Manny today. And we're here with Kurt Bardella from MSNBC. I mean, that's like a huge thing. And the Morning Hangover, which we love because we're big into music here. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for stopping on. I was telling Louis, you know, he knows about the Morning Hangover, so
that's my fun life right there.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's like my pharmacy life is not fun, but my Nashville life is a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, it's like don't let the dress shirt and the blazer fool you. I'm t-shirt, ball cap, and a Mick Ultra. That's the real me.
That's awesome.
Like Louis today, except he doesn't have the Mick Ultra with him.
Well, I put my Millennium Falcon shirt on because I just felt like the Force was with me today, and I just figured let's do it. You know.
There you go.
Get in the mood.
Getting in the mood. And I can attest that I've seen Kurt dressed like this partying out in Nashville. So, you know.
There you go.
Yeah. Ooh, everybody's back. All right. So this week we were talking about topics, the big topics of the day in Nashville and everything. Did you see that Granger Smith's brother is going to be on The Bachelorette?
I did. I think, you know, people who watch the show, I mean, and it's really something. I didn't fully realize the connection that Bachelor Nation has with the country music world until I guess it was last year at Stagecoach. And Chris Harrison was there hanging out, and just like half the cast of The Bachelor was there just rocking out. I mean, they just love it. And then the last time I was able to travel, really, I was in Nashville for our CRS, and I ended up at a party, and Caitlin Bristow ended up there. Right. And it was an event for country music Canadian superstar Brett Kissel, and Caitlin was actually in his music video, and that's what they were all celebrating. Okay. But it's like the entrenchment of Bachelor Nation and country music. I mean, it runs deep, and I'll tell you, no show, whether it's Kimmel, the Today Show, whatever, no show gets more of an impact for artists than when a country music artist gets to go and perform on The Bachelor or Bachelorette. Like, it is huge for them. It's
so big. And then the obsession we all know behind the curtain with like the country musicians and dating them. Some have dated several of the Bachelorettes that I know of, and actually maybe married one.
Yeah. Well, you know? And there was that episode where I think it was Chase Rice was playing a show. He was kind of the music talent for that episode, and it turned out he had dated the Bachelorette girl. Yeah. It's like, what the hell?
That's what I love about Nashville so much, because I'm down there all the time writing, and just the connections and the circles are so small. When you look at it from an outside view, you think this huge world of entertainment, but you go to Nashville and it's like this big. It's
so incestuous, man. Oh my God. I mean, it's one of those things where like if you develop a bad rep, you're screwed. Like, because it goes around, like it's such a small, tight-knit community that, you know, if you get into this as a newcomer and don't do the right things and treat people the right way, you're buried, and it's almost impossible to get out from under that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's so true. We were actually talking about it. I'm like, we were talking before a little bit. I'm like, the things that you find out, and Kurt, you probably know this too, like, but you have to keep it back shelves, and you're just like sitting there going, but I know the answer. But I want the interview, so I'm not saying a word.
I mean, I tell you, there's no other form of entertainment, I think, that allows the talent to develop the personal relationships, you know, whether it's with media or just with anybody. You know, I come from the DC world and the political world. Right. And I can tell you, you know, for like a member of Congress, a senator or whatever, it is impossible for someone to get to them. You know, I mean, there's 45 different rungs of people in the way to make sure that the wrong person doesn't get the congressman's phone number, or a reporter doesn't just decide to, you know, show up at your door. But in Nashville, it's so different that way. And you know, I remember the first time I was talking with an artist who should not be named, but he just gave me his phone number and said, "Oh, just give me a call." I'm like, "What? Like, this is your real cell phone number? That's how you do it?" All right, I'll call you.
Yeah. It's very true. It's very true. Louis will be like, "Can you just text this person?" I'm like,
Yeah, it's amazing. You just go like when I started going down there so I used to write for Sony, and in LA, and that's a whole different scene. And I got tired of that scene. And when I started going to Nashville, it was like night and day. And like to be able to go out downtown Nashville and some of the smaller bars and see these people, these writers that you're like, oh my God, he just had 5 #1 hits and he's sitting at the bar with his buddies just having a drink. And you're like, that doesn't happen in LA, and it doesn't happen anywhere. Not at all.
No, I mean, it's so accessible. And all these things about these guys, it's like the things that country music is, things they sing about, a simpler life, a small town life, that's who they are as people. It's like, that's not a shtick. That's not an act. Like when people are saying about their ideal day is hunting, fishing, that's what they do on their free time.
Yeah.
They are the most relatable and down to earth and by and large humble people you will ever come across. And it's like, you're likely to go, if you're hanging out in Nashville, like there's a spot where you'll see Brad Paisley getting his cup of coffee every day, like that, because that's where he goes. You'll see, Morgan Wallen having a night on the town, hanging out at Kid Rock's bar. It's like,
or having a
that's
surprise
just life.
baby.
or having a surprise baby out of the blue. It's like, it's an interesting world, but it's a lot of fun to be a part of.
So how did you get like what brought you to that world, like to go from politics?
So, I'm obviously a big country music fan first and foremost, and I had this idea a few years ago for wouldn't it be cool if there was a daily morning email that just told me what the hell's going on that day? I remember I was in Nashville, actually. It was the Rolling Stones were playing LP Field. And I had taken my wife there for her birthday. It was actually on her birthday, June 17th. And I was just talking to people who sit around me, and they all worked in the country music industry, as it turned out. And I was just asking them, like, hey, like, what do you guys read to know what's going on? Like, I'd read it too. And the things that they read, I'm like, I don't care who the program director in North Dakota is. And I don't, I understand why you need to know that for your job. But as a fan, I just want to know who put out a new music video, who played the Today Show, who's going on tour, just things that any fan would want to know. And there's nothing like that allowed you to just kind of wake up, start your day, have it right there in your phone, a quick scroll, and you're all caught up.
Right.
And I just thought, I'm gonna do this just for fun. Like, what would this? I just started playing around with it. Like, hey, what would an email like this look like? Let me share it with a couple of people, see what they think. They liked it. Then they started sharing it with their office, and then it just kind of caught around. And all of a sudden, I had this email that everybody in town was reading, writing it from DC. Like, no one, I had never met most of these people. I'd been to Nashville twice in my life. But it was just, I think the content was presented in a useful and compelling way that they all just started doing it. And then it just kind of took off from there and became a full-fledged business. And I ended up spending, more than half my time going to Nashville, going to shows, getting to know everybody. And it's been most fun of my professional life.
It's amazing.
It's so cool because so many radio people use you for prep every day.
Yeah.
So like he has
shows.
the best like information out there. And it's so true. And when I didn't get into Nashville, Louis knows, about 2015, I started. I had one artist on, and then it just rolled into the Dr. Sarah show. Everybody kept wanting to come on. But I kept saying, the hardest working guy is this Kurt guy. I got to meet him sometime. And I'm like, this guy, like, this is me. I'm always saying, Jessica, she's on the Bull here in Boston. I'm like, he must be up all night. Because the things he knows. Do you do this like all night? Does it take you all day to do this? Plus, then you got to do your politics stuff. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like my day job, I'm a commentator on MSNBC and involved in the political media world. And that's obviously a very time-consuming effort, especially right now as we had an election coming up. I do a show called Morning Joe very often, and that's first thing in the morning. And when I'm on the West Coast, like I am now, that's me I did the other day. I had to wake up at 3 a.m. Like I'm really I didn't even bother going to bed. That can be a little brutal, but for me, country music again. It's like I'm a fan first, and so when I start working on my tip sheet, I usually write it at night when things kind of calm down. It's like it's relaxing me because like I'm watching all the music videos. Like whatever I put in there are things that I'm experiencing too.
Right.
So it's kind of like, it's like my own therapy to get through my day, is being able to end my day right in Morning Hangover.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, and that's how I feel too. Like I'm always like trying to catch up with all the gossip and stuff. I mean, definitely that Michael Ray and Carly Pierce thing, that's piqued my interest. I think I can watch that. We'll talk offline about that.
I think a lot of people, I know a lot of guys and girls were excited that they were both available now. So
I know. Oh, I know. Everybody is. Oh my God. The girls, a lot of those girls are like, oh my God, like the day I was saying to Louis, I could be like the Perez Hilton of country, but I just don't do that. And the things I'm getting all day before the People article came out, it was so crazy.
I'm just curious to see what the Spotify streams are now after it's, all the single girls coming back like, hey, he's available.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
That's a great idea. Speaking of like fledgling artists, who do you think will be the biggest artists now that we have no concerts and life is just kind of comes to
Oh God, it's so tough. I feel so bad.
Louis gonna be the next big
musician. I'm sorry, I was coughing. My bad.
Sorry.
Obviously, Louis. But
wow.
That goes without saying.
That's so crazy.
Besides Louis.
It's so tough for new artists in this time of COVID, and so because they rely so much on being able to do their radio tour and going on the road and getting in front of bodies, and they don't get to do that now. And I was talking to a label head recently about this, and their philosophy for right now is they're basically just doubling down on their superstars, because it's almost impossible to break a new act in this environment. I look at people who were starting out, who had momentum and have been able to kind of maintain it. People like Gabby Barrett and Ingrid Andress, and like they're able to continue what they were doing, but they're not going to be able to take it to the next level until they can get in front of people and start playing. So it's really it's tough. I don't envy those opening act artists and people trying to get their first record deal and trying to break their first song. Like it's impossible to do in this situation.
Especially like Louis' experience, and Louis been trying, you've been working in Nashville here and there, and like this couldn't be worse timing, right, Louis?
Well, it's good and it's bad, because I agree, Kurt. No, it's definitely but I've seen a lot of artists use this time to actually expand their fan base. So I don't think record deals are calling, but I've seen a lot of people's fan bases explode because everybody's just focused on what's on the computer now. So I think a lot of artists that are very creative are starting to find ways to like just branch out. So maybe when this is over, their fan base is going to be big enough now that a label might finally come to them and say, oh my God, look at this guy or this girl. So I think it's both. I think it's bad for live stuff, but if you're creative, for me, it's been really good, to be creative on this, on these new platforms. I never did a lot of live.
I feel like right now you also get a sense for the new artists, like who's hungry, who is working their ass off, and putting out content and being creative. Like there are some artists who are just kind of chilling, who aren't going to do much, who are just treating it like a long-term staycation. But I think that the artists that will get momentum and that will get deals when this ends are the ones who are showing right now that they're going to work their ass off no matter what the circumstances are. I know an artist who wasn't signed, who is signing a deal with one of the biggest record people on earth. And she got it because of her hustle and her grit and her hard work more than anything. It's like, there's a lot of talented people out there. We see it all the time. People who can sing the lights off of anything, people who can write. But that X factor at times, I think, is work ethic. And, the people who can show that they still have that and are grinding it out even in this time. Because we deal with this every day. It's so easy, especially with this backdrop, to just want to sit on the pool and do freaking nothing all day.
Oh, yeah.
I want to come over there and drink some wine right now. Seriously.
it's like so. The like what drives you to like wake up, comb your hair, put on a freaking dress shirt? Like this is probably the fourth Zoom thing I've done today, and it's and it's only 1 o'clock my time.
This is the first time I did my hair. I did this for you guys. Only when I come on.
Oh, look at you!
I'm all ready to go.
You look like you got a good tan going. That like you.
It's fun.
You look like you got a good tan going too.
I know. I said, do I look orange? I'm looking a little orange today.
Too much COVID relaxation.
Yeah.
Something. She's making the best of it, I hope.
Absolutely.
I'm trying. I decided, because I live in a townhouse situation, you guys. I was like, I bought the blow up pool, but I was like, that's not gonna work. So I bought a jacuzzi. So been like kind of chilling in that.
Well, that's pretty good.
That sounds relaxing. Party at your house.
Yeah, you didn't tell me about that, Sarah. You never told me you had the jacuzzi.
Oh, I didn't tell you about that?
Oh, yeah. See? I caught you now. I'm coming over.
Oh, Louis coming over.
Quarantine parties.
Dude. Hey, Kurt, there's something I actually wanted to, I was, reading a little bit more into your history and just to get
fake news.
Well, listen, I'm sure some, no, it's all good. Right? It's all good. But the one thing that I wanted to ask you, which is something that actually piqued my interest out of all the things that you've done and said, and I'm sure I didn't read all of them, but for the ones that I did read, I liked how you talked about Nashville and talking politics with artists in Nashville and just how real they are and how open-minded they are. And now you said something about they never come with preconceived notions. They always want to, be open and listen and hear different sides. And I think that's an awesome thing you said, because a lot of people give people, I'm a Northern, I'm a Boston kid all the way. So when you go down South, people up here have preconceived notions of people from down South and their inability to have those conversations. And you kind of just totally twisted that, because that's how I feel people down the South are too. But a lot of people don't really think that. They think the opposite.
Yeah, it's been, I think a lot of people who have never spent time in Nashville or with country music artists have this preconceived notion that they're all a bunch of, redneck, hillbilly, backroad, inbred, hicks. Yeah. And what I have found is so many of them, even ones that I personally might disagree with, they still want to talk. They want to have the conversation. They're curious as to, why do I think the way that I do about something? They're open to hearing about that experience, so that they can calibrate that to how they're viewing the world. And one of the secrets, I think, to my unexpected success in Nashville, is that because I come from this different world, and I'm probably one of the only people that these artists ever get to actually talk to who comes from this real world of Washington and politics, and and has a front row seat to the events that are unfolding in our country every day. And they're so curious to talk to me about that. And they have the added effect of, I'll be at a show on a Friday night, and then they'll turn on the TV Saturday morning, and there I am. I mean, it's like, I think one of my favorite.
Enjoy today.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite, kind of the two sides to my life was, I remember being in Nashville at the Dickel Distillery for Dustin Lynch's album launch, and I'm drunk. I'm 2 sheets to the wind gone. And then sure enough, I get a phone call that night, and it's the show, and they're like, hey, we need to get you on the air tonight. I'm like, dude, I am drunk. I got a State Country t-shirt on. Like, they're like, stop drinking. We're going to send a car for you right now. It'll be fine. And then that night I go on national television. I don't remember what the hell it was about, honestly. But then Dustin Instagrams it on. He's like, dude, Kurt's on. He's like, that shirt. He was just here, and like, he's drunk and he's on TV. It's hilarious. It's, having, it's like, who else does that? I mean, it's really an unusual circumstance. And I try to play, my role, particularly in the media, to try to educate people from my background that country music is a lot more open and diverse than you might think at first glance. Particularly, we've had a lot of conversations nationally about things like Lady A changing their name and the Dixie Chicks changing their name to the Chicks. And even in the wake of after the horrific shooting in Vegas at at that Route 91 festival, country music was again right in the middle of some of these conversations. And I saw a lot of commentators, a lot of media taking shots at our community, speaking from a place of ignorance. And so I really try to, whether it's writing a column, whether it's going on TV, talk about it as someone who's really part of this community and can advocate for it. And like anybody else, there are times we have blind spots. There are things that we don't always get right. We got work to do, but so does everybody else.
Right.
And this country is I think transparent about that, and they're making the effort. And I think that's something to applaud.
Right.
Absolutely.
It is so cool. I really admire what you do. And what's it like being on with Morning Hangover? Because I do watch that on occasion. That's so cool.
It's funny being the Morning Hangover guy on Morning Joe. Is
like, Morning Joe, sorry. It's too many mornings.
It's too many morning. I'm the morning guy, It's there are times.
Of course I messed that up. You're on the morning everything.
There are times where it's almost I have to pinch myself that I get to do this. I remember last year at the CMA, Tim McGraw was one of the closing acts at the stadium show, and he does this thing, and then the next day, both of him and I leave Nashville, go to New York to do the show. He was promoting a book, and I remember walking off the elevator. We both ended up walking off separate elevators at the same time, and we looked at each other. He's in his suit, I'm in my suit, and we both started laughing because 12 hours ago, he was doing Tim McGraw, and I was in my country music hanging out clothes, and here we are now going to pretend to be serious people on television together when we both know we're a bunch of morons. It's like having those moments where both of my worlds collide. Over this Corona stuff, we had Brad on the show, Paisley on the show, to talk about all the things that he's been doing, virtual Zoom concerts, benefits to support a charity he's very passionate about called The Store, how he put out a new song, No I Am Beer. It's like how it's worked for him as an artist, being creative, trying to still be in contact and communication with fans. And we had him on Morning Joe, and it's like, here we are, able to meld these two worlds. And I just love when that happens. It's such a cool thing.
Yeah. It is cool. And I it's so funny always seeing you from this world, and then I see you on doing things that I love, and I watch that station a lot, so we'll just leave it at that. But and you're doing a great job.
More people watch that station than you would think in Nashville, let me tell you.
And we're crossing my fingers, November 3rd's coming, people. It's coming.
110 days from now, as a matter of fact. Not that I'm keeping track or anything.
How many hours? 110 days.
I'll tell you, 110 days, 12 hours, depending on which coast you're on.
That's great. Hey, Kurt, have you ever heard of the new artist Breland?
Yeah.
The My Truck song?
I have.
Yeah, what do you think of it? What do you think?
I think actually it's funny. His one of his PR folks literally emailed me yesterday about his album's coming out. I think August 14th maybe. Yeah, pretty soon.
What do you think of trap country?
What I think of what?
The trap country, the vibe that's coming out. What's gonna mix in with the trap in the country, and it's like it's kind of like that new trend. I think Sam Hunt kind of started it.
I like anything that's creative, that takes chances. I'm not one of those people who believes that country has to sound a certain way. One of the reasons why I fell in love with this format is because whether you love classic old school Alan Jackson, George Strait, Randy Travis, or if you love more, we'll call it progressive, Thomas Rhett, or rock and roll, like Eric Church or Al Dean. It's like there's something for everybody. And I think that in a lot of ways now, country music is one of the greatest bellwethers for all of music. And you look at the different elements and different influences that now come into country, whether it's R&B, rap, hip hop, techno, EMI, you name it. Like there's literally, everyone has in some way experimented with different variables of music and sound. And I love it. I think it's great. I'm all for people taking chances, trying new sounds, trying new things. I always love when that happens. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I always think it's a good thing to try.
Yeah, it keeps it from getting stale, and I think it's true. As a musician, I only plug that because I've been listening to him, because my buddy Jordan was one of the producers on that record, and so I never heard of this kid before. And my buddy Jordan came back from LA, and he's like, "Oh, I've been working on some songs. I did this like country song for this kid," and then all of a sudden it's like in one of the top things on a playlist. Like, oh, like, dude, this song's huge. What are you talking about? So
just some song,
That's what. He's like that. He's such a good. He's like a good kid like that. So you'd never know if he's telling you like whatever he's telling you is big or small.
But that's the thing about country. It's like, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, like you could just be hanging out at some bar, and there's a guy who's written 5 number ones sitting right next to you, and you'd never know it.
You wouldn't know.
I mean, that's what. That's what I love about it. It's like they're just normal people. They do what they do. But they'll also have a drink with you. It's like, hey, you got 5 multi-platinum records, but let's have a beer. They don't care.
Exactly.
Louis, we need you to be one of those writers.
Someday soon. We're getting there.
Come on, Louis. I want to say that I did this with you way back when, before you were, and now I won't be. I'll be like, now he won't return my calls, but I did a freaking podcast with this.
I don't know if he'll return my calls either.
Listen, Sarah, I always return your call.
It
takes me a little while to get back to you. That's all.
I know. I have to call him and be like, hey, I need you right now. Like right now.
Yeah, Sarah calls me. Sarah gives me a text message, and I could be in the middle of like putting up wires on my roof. And then she texts me like 3 minutes later, it's urgent. So then I'll be like, what's the matter? What's the matter? She's like, oh, nothing. Just want to get a hold of
nothing.
you.
Just seeing if the bat signal works.
Oh boy, she's got my cell phone. Watch out for her. I'll be texting you.
Watch out. She's going to be blowing me up.
Yeah.
You'll be on the tip sheet one day, Louis. You'll be on
One day.
One day.
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, Kurt, thank you so much for sitting down with us. I know you're a busy man. Are you going to be on anything tonight? Are we looking for you on MSN tonight?
God, I hope not. I hope not. I need to like eat food at some point and just like take a nap.
Have some wine, because it looks like you're in a nice wine spot.
I am. Can't beat it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you, Kurt.
All right.
Absolutely. Great meeting you, Louis.
Take care.
Nice
Bye,
to meet you too. Take it easy.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.